What's going on, guys? Cody from MotorcycleMD and welcome to another video. In this one we'll be tackling the steering head bearings on this KZ400. Was up real late last night getting these forks just done and so I could look at them, and now it's time to take them back off and do the steering head bearings because they're shot, super notched, and I'll show you guys what I mean here in a second. But we're going to take the whole tree out, put some new bearings in it, pack them, get them all tight, ready to go, and then we can finish installing the front tire. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. We do videos on motorcycle repair, builds, different projects, all different types of stuff revolving around motorcycles or even ATVs in some cases. And if you want to learn more about how to maintenance and take care of your bike, you know, the thing that you oftentimes pay a shop to do, in the description there is a free course, 40 plus videos of me showing you exactly how to do that on a consistent basis, things that you should be doing at least once a year. Again, in the description, totally free, it's yours, take it. All right, let's get to it. My stupid stand, so tilting the camera is not an option, unfortunately, right now, so sorry about that. But let's go ahead and get these forks back off, because we have this notch right in the center. See how it kind of drops back in there without me even touching it? That's a solid notch. And there's actually one right to the right of it and to the left of it as well, but the center notch is the worst, and you would feel that while you're riding. You would be trying to go straight or trying to, like, you know, make a slight left or a slight right, and it's almost like you're like fighting it to get out of that center position. You can feel it in the handlebars. It's super annoying. And sometimes you can fix it with just loosening up the steering head bearings, but oftentimes when the bike sits, they'll sit and they'll just rust right in that spot and make a little mark. Should be able to see it when we get the race for the bearing out. Let's see what we got here. We have our clutch cable. We can pull this out. We have our switch assembly here. I'd like to keep this stuff all on there, not undo the harness and all that stuff. Try to just move this stuff maybe down and out of the way. And there's no fluid in this, which is good. Throttle cables are connected. So, tell you what, let's go ahead and just loosen up our top triple tree. So we'll turn this full lock left so we can use it to untorque it, unstork it. These usually have quite a bit of torque on them, but the older ones, a lot of times the pressure on the older, meaning like 70s, the pressure of this top lock nut determines the tightness of the bearing. We'll see how this one operates. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a cheater bar. I could take the tank off if I wanted to, but big old bolt, a big old washer. Let's take a smaller little wave washer on underneath it. Try to keep a little tension on it, maybe. Let's see if that had an effect. No, notch is still there. So there's a special locking nut underneath this crown. Let's see, this is another weird 13. Yep. Tell you what, let's go ahead and just get this tank out of the way, just for safe measure. A little pinch bolt, and we should be able to pop this whole thing up. Let me double check that. Okay. Yep. I should have saw that coming. Still intact. Good to go. So this should come up. We'll just drop this down over here. And there's our bottom mirrors. Another washer? It is. Man, they got a lot of washers on this thing. Little rubber washer there. Same with over here. Here. Keep those together. See that? You can hear it. So normally there's a special tool for that, but I don't have it. But normally these are not on insanely tight. So we're going to see what we can do. We're going to go full left. With this full left, what we're going to do is just grab a flathead screwdriver. Ideally, you want a tool that has like 4 prongs that go into each of these slots, and you can do that loose. So right now, I don't currently have that tool. I'll get it before this video is over with so we can do the final torque setting, which is an important thing to know. Every bike's kind of different as far as amount of torque or how they want you to go full left, full right, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. But for the sake of being productive and moving forward, we're going to use a flathead screwdriver right on this corner. It might not work, we'll see. There we go, got a little hit out of it. Ideally, I don't want to chew this thing up too much. So, as we work around, it should be getting looser and looser. Which this is also threaded onto this bottom part of the crown. So be mindful of two things. One, that will drop out, and two, these older systems oftentimes have ball bearings that fly out because they're not in cages, and it's the stupidest thing ever, but that was technology back then. So there's likely going to be some ball bearings that just go everywhere, you know, and it'd be my job to find them afterwards, or we can keep them all intact. If you have a magnet, that works great, but we're going to be going with some tapered rollers this time from All Balls. It has some pretty good stuff and affordable, but I'm not going to go back to the stock stuff, that's for sure. So there's that. There's our little dust cover. Ooh, I got part of them. Some of them. Okay, there's some of the ball bearings. See how they can just all fly everywhere. Be very careful in grabbing them. No! One fell. Oh no, they're falling out of the bottom. Okay, so I got my hand down here in the bottom. Let's see if we can't save some. There we go. There's some of them right there. All right, so they are all out of there. Cool. Both of our races are hammered in, so we have to hammer them back out, right? So there'll be a lip on the inside that we can push, that we'll be able to get up on top of and hit that down as evenly as possible. There are all different types of tools that we could use, right? I'm going to use probably a little bit of heat and just a standard long drift punch. You can get the flathead screwdriver for all I care. Just be careful not to just walk one side out. You want to do kind of work your way around. It makes it come out a lot easier. Again, heat works great. But if you're doing this on a more modern bike where you have maybe fairing around you or more things, obviously heat's not going to be an option. So regardless, they do make special tools, and the ones that go inside, you can spread them out and then punch up through it, or vice versa for the other side. My dog hates this torch. Told you. Alright, let's see what kind of work we get. There's the top race. Same thing with the bottom. Call him in. Good boy. As we're doing our top race, this is our bottom top. Let's see what they look like cleaned up. See all those lines that we have? All of those can actually be felt with my fingernail. We do have this guy. Make good slingshot ammo. Now this race is a little bit more difficult to get off if you don't have the right setup, like a bench vise. If you were doing this job, you could, you know, take the triple tree over to a shop and ask them to get rid of it. There's some pretty awesome techniques for getting these things undone, because you're banging and pressing this thing down onto that shaft. I've seen, I think Shane, if you guys remember Shane Connolly, obviously he's been on the internet forever, had an awesome video of someone using an air chisel, a little like a flat blade air chisel, and it just shoots it right up. It's insane. if you've ever done these for a while, and then you see a video like that, you're like, oh my gosh, I've wasted so much time. See all the notching, little flat spots. A rust line right there on that bearing. And likely many of them have the same thing. Okay, but we need to get this thing off. And what I'm gonna do is heat the mess out of this thing over in my vise. And then I'm gonna get it up here with some type of punch or something and kind of just work my way up on this. This actually hangs out quite a bit, you can see that. Super easy ledge to get on. Modern bikes, newer bikes, that clearance is so much tighter, it's likely flush with this lower tree, that ledge. So you're gonna be taking a flat blade like something like this and getting right up into that space there and having your way with it. Trying to get up over here, because there is a ledge up over there as well. The goal really is to increase the temperature of the race itself, but you can't really do that without hitting everything else. Let's see if I can't work this edge up first, over here. And then we'll work on this back edge. There we go. I love how it just gradually goes out of focus. Like, you don't need that shot. You don't need it. You really don't need that shot. It's a stupid shot, so cameras can be frustrating. Alright, shout out All Balls. Like I said, affordable, and it's a nice upgrade to the tapered rollers. There were 2 dust seals. We have a upper and a lower bearing, and these are the same part number, 99, 35, 15, so it does not matter which one goes where, okay? And these are not pre-lubricated. These are our nice new tapered rollers. Nice little upgrade. It'll likely outlast this bike. It's hard to say how many miles, you know, to worry about when it comes to these type of thing. It's more of a, all depends on the condition of the bike's been in. You know, I'd say when you're getting up there in mileage, there's likely time to go. I've replaced them at 30,000, I've replaced them at 100,000, I've replaced them at 15,000, I've replaced them at 1,800. You know, it really doesn't matter. It just depends on the climate the bike sits in and the bike's being ridden and that kind of stuff. And installation. You know, if someone gets in there and jacks the triple tree up, or gets into an accident, or you wreck your bike and that kind of thing, things get jostled around and moved. The main difference is that the older one had its own race on the bottom, right? Sat right there. On this upgrade, what we're going to do is take our dust seal, which is the same part number again. This is going to go bottom, like that. And then this is going to go please tell me these are the right ones. Please tell me these are the right ones. Whoo! No. Okay, they are the same bearing. Oh my gosh, I thought it'd be like, no freaking way are these the wrong ones. It would be like one more Kawasaki stupid change that they make that I now have to deal with. Alright, it was just, this is a tighter fit. So that will go down like that, okay? And we will need to get something that they make big, long, hollow punches that go over top of that, which I do not have, okay? But in an effort to carry forward, I can figure this out. So, see how this bottom race sits lower than the cage for the bearings? So the old one, cleaned up, has that lip on it that can fit down and contact that, right? Which is important to state. So with that pressed on there hard, if I hold it together, I can still spin this cage. Okay? So as much force as I want to put on this thing, I'm not damaging the cage, which is important. Because if you jack that cage up, then you're done. So, this is going to sit down pretty low, facing this way, tapered facing towards the race that we're going into, right? The bottom of the tree. And this is going to give me enough space to use this and not be pressing this down onto that shaft where we don't want it to go. So, in other words, like so. And once again, I have an old fork leg. I'll just hammer this thing from the top and press that bearing down. Everybody needs a spare fork leg in their life, you know, at least in the garage. Good good breaker bar, good everything. So that's what we'll do. Alright, let's go ahead and pack these bearings. Sweet. So I didn't record any of that. And today's not my day, guys. It's not my day. I didn't record any of that. But what I did was, I'm sure you guys have seen, grab a pair of rubber gloves, grab a handful of grease, put that onto your glove, and then you're going to take, I really don't want to touch this thing, and you grab your bearing with your big wad of grease in your hand, and you just take this and you just work this into the grease until it starts to protrude out of everywhere, and you're just rolling it, a big wad of grease, okay? Until you pack it all in, right? You're just kind of pushing the grease through the bearing, rotating it, doing that with both of them. And you'll end up with a bearing that looks like that, okay? I can't believe I didn't record that. Moving on. The pitch changed a little bit. I think we're seated. And this rotates. And that looks flat. I would say that's a success. Alright, so what I've come to realize, which could be a situation, we'll find out. Old race for the bearing, the roller bearings. New race for the bearing. It's bigger, as you can tell. So that race would go up into the steering stem and look something like that once it goes in. And that's going to protrude because the shoulder of this is fit for that race. This race is a little bit taller, or it might not be. We'll see. But I mean, that's pretty substantial. If it is hanging out, it all depends on kind of how much. Tapered roller is definitely a superior bearing to the roller style, the ball bearing style, because you have more surface area on the bearing being used in that vicinity. So we need to smack that in nice and even. Let's see if this is big enough. Ooh, it is. So that will do. To press that in, or punch it in, really, as evenly as humanly possible. The races are the same, so maybe we won't have a problem. I got a little bit nervous because I looked at that and I was like, oh my gosh, that's smaller. But I think that All Ball might have done a good job, and this might come in pretty flush. That's fun. So the cool thing about knowing when something is in, when you're hammering on it, is it will come up with like a different noise once we bottom out. You can kind of tell, maybe the camera will pick it up, but the key thing right now is just nice and even. Bingo. And that is as flush as can be. That's beautiful. Awesome. To the bottom one. That will do. Here's our new bearing here. Nice and packed. This is the rubber seal that typically you put around it. And then the bike came with this. And then our lock on top. Whew. So run our tree up from underneath. Throw that guy down. And then we will throw this guy down. But anyways, we need to follow, there's going to be some type of procedure for tightening this down. Okay, to a certain spec. And I did happen to check at the shop, and we definitely had what we needed, I think. No, we don't. Oh my goodness. Looks like I'm taking a little drive. Well, I guess before I make that drive, we can work on something else. I need to get the guts out of these, and we're gonna blast them. We gotta lose some more parts for them, and then get these into a situation where they can be painted. You know, we're gonna prime them, paint them, give them the Krylon touch. We'll go with a probably matte or a satin, probably a satin black. And I know that there's going to be probably some blowback of ruining a pretty decent piece of chrome on an old bike, but this is a KZ400 and not probably one of the rarest bikes or most highly sought after bikes, so get over it. I kind of like the idea of keeping the little casing, the rubber casings. That metal color, we won't paint these. Kind of breaks up the black a little bit because they shine pretty nice. Sweet. And got the shine. I actually like the way that looks. If they wouldn't rust like crazy. So I'm gonna get some good old Dawn dish soap, clean these all up, scrub them up, probably heat them up a little bit, get them hot, burn off anything in the metal, hit them with some acetone, and then we will hit them with some primer. Alright, so 45 minutes of driving and a $10 tool. I have found a socket. The shop doesn't even have one, which is insane because it's not even that tall. But I looked and looked and looked and I can't find one, so let's see if I can make one out of this. I think we should be okay, but now I gotta spend a bunch of time making a $10 tool. It's annoying, but especially since this is gonna be like the 20 to 30 foot-pound range. I could probably do it all by feel if I wanted to, but whatever. That'll do. That took way too long. Tighten steering stem lock nut to 19.5 to 22 foot-pounds. Install the fork leg first so that the upper end is flush with the upper surface of the stem head. Tighten the upper clamp bolts. This wants me to do it with the complete installation of all parts that were removed. I want you to put all the forks back on and everything, which I'm not going to do. The other funny thing is I don't have a 3/4 adapter for that socket, but I can use a 18mm spark plug socket. That's pretty freaking snug with an extension with my handy dandy AC Delco torque adapter. Here we're in Newton meters. Let's swap that. The foot-pounds will go up to, yeah, we'll do 20 first. Whew, there we go. Starting to walk out. It's all good. It's all good. We'll take this, go lock to lock a couple times. And we'll loosen this back up. Alright, and we'll go right back to that 20. That's somewhere in between. We'll see how that feels. It feels a little stiff, honestly. There were like tools that you'd used to have, like almost like what you'd weigh a fish with, you know, scale thing. You could pull on it and there'd be like a certain amount of pressure, but I like to go off of feel, and we might need to make a little bit different adjustment once everything's back on. It just feels a little stiff to me. On newer bikes, when you go to do that and you follow the instructions on their torque spec, they'll usually have you do it like 3 times, go lock to lock. You're pretty much perfect once you follow those instructions on the newer bikes. But I remember I've put in new bearings in my 450 and it seemed like I was chasing the right tension the whole time. The of what I like to feel, not too loose, like I can just throw the handlebars around. That feels good. Alright, so after painting in the cold, mind you, it's never a fun thing because I have to like paint it outside and bring it inside because it's warmer. It's like 30 degrees here. I'm out of kerosene. And get some kerosene. But these turned out pretty well. 2 coats of a flat gray primer, and then 3 coats of some Krylon Touch, actually Rust-Oleum Touch semi-gloss. They turned out pretty well. Pretty smooth. I like the finish on them. Doesn't seem to have any runs or anything like that. Just a process, man. Just light coats, repetitive light coats. Whole feel bond strong enough to not like. It's the one thing I hate is when this kind of stuff chips. But I like the way that it turned out, and it matches the headlight unit as well. This is actually a Sabre 1100 headlight that was in pretty rough shape. There's some pitting on it, but I think we'll be okay. It could be prettier, but we're not going for a museum. So, same matching paints. This will sit and hold on to that with the little silver accents on the parts that are allow this thing to be adjustable. It's kind of cool. It's kind of like a mechanical looking headlight. I like them. So let's get this front end installed. Finally, forks, top tree. We got to torque that down, put the ears on, and then the assembly that they came on. Let's do it. Parts diagram, dampener on the bottom stem, washer, the sleeve, that little, what do they call it? Guide. Then the ear, the cap. Then the cap on top of that. Wham bam. What are you doing? What are you doing? Y'all like my Christmas ornament over there? That roached out, locked up 350. That's gonna be my Christmas tree this year. I'm gonna put lights all over it. Alright, that way it won't move out of the bottom. That's nice. Guys, remember when I said how it would feel different when stuff starts getting added to it? And also remember when the manual was talking about putting everything on and then making your adjustment? It feels a little loose to me. We're going to go ahead and go to probably 21, 22, something like that. No problem. There's 22. That feels more like it. It's not so flimsy. Alright, tighten the steering stem head bolt. 40 foot-pounds. Tighten the stem head clamp bolt, which is that clamp bolt there. It's about 12. Loosen the lower clamp bolts and allow the front fork tubes to reseat themselves, and then tighten them to 22. Don't look too bad. We gotta get the headlight back on and the front wheel. Yeah. Smack some grease on this axle. Now the question is, how much do we take off? Put us there. Okay, so I've decided what we're going to do. I like the shape of that. I want it to be even, obviously. I don't want the long, big fender. Don't really care too much for it. So what we're going to chop this here. I'm going to take this back, outline the front on both front and back with just this piece here so I can get this nice line here on here. Cut it, bing bang boom. Seems most reasonable. I don't really like the little small fenders. I think those are pointless. There's no point in even having one with a fender that small, which is a very popular thing to do on a lot of different builds. But I think a little bit more of a fender would make it better. So that's what we're gonna do. Not bad. Nice and even. Obviously I need some filing. Sweet! Silky smooth. I dig it. Alright. Moment of truth. Does it look good? I don't know, guys. I'm kind of digging it. Comment below if you liked it. If you don't, oh well. I like it. I think it's cool. Simple little material delete. Brings a little bit more attitude to it. Looks nice and even. I like the front of that fender, how it looked. That's why I wanted to duplicate that on the back end and front end of it. I know it's not a big deal, it's just a fender, but put time and effort into it. Still not sure about that headlight. Thinking I might put maybe 2 smaller PIAs or something right underneath here to give it an extra, cover that space up. That space is what I don't like. I like the modular headlight though. I mean, that square light looks super retro. I just love it. I don't want to get rid of the square light. Alright, so that will wrap this one up. We got a lot done. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. There's a whole playlist of what we've been going through on this bike, trying to build some type of modern day tracker for a buddy of mine. And it's a lot of work. You guys can physically see how much work it is inside the videos. So, but besides that, if you guys need help on your bike, carburetors, going through maintenance, how to repair things, there's tons of content that I have over on MotorcycleMD.com, as well as this YouTube channel has a little bit more exclusive stuff over on that end. Check it out. In the description below, there's also a free gift. It's a maintenance course on things that you should be doing to your bike. Let's say you're fresh into the whole motorcycle world. This video would be great for you just to figure out what you can do on your bike to save you some money. In the description, 40 plus videos. I'm calling it the Wrench to Ride course. Me and Matt over at How to Motorcycle Repair put it together for you to have. Totally free. Check it out. Until next time, Cody from MotorcycleMD, bringing you guys some quality tips in your next build or your daily rider. See you next time. Later.